Dimensions right here. And sound working. Okay. Okay, good morning and welcome along to our Staying Well While Staying Home series. So a collaboration between Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. And myself, Shane, training or guiding you through all of these sessions. Before beginning the session, just always check that you have a nice clear space to work in. Have a chair at the ready so you can perform I will leave most of the session in standing, but any of your work can be adapted, performed in a seated position, and just to have the chair ready available. Other little things, just maybe having a window open, drink of water, and of course in these sessions we like to use weight, and you can use tins, bottles, anything at all that will give you some additional or extra resistance. All of this work, I want you to work at your own pace. We're all at a different stage in terms of our exercise journey, whether this is new and we're just getting our fitness back, or maybe we've been building up for quite a while. So it just depends where you're at. Do as much or as little as is appropriate for you in this workout. So we'll have two main blocks of work, which is aerobic, just working the heart, working the lungs, building up endurance, and then our strength block of work also. So we'll just start off very shortly with a warm-up. And another point I would make is if you experience pain with any movement, if the shoulder, chest, any part of the body just doesn't feel right with the movement, to stop that exercise and adapt. So not to continue if it just doesn't feel right as a movement. Don't persist if there is any pain there. Okay. So we'll just do our final setup here, and we will begin. Okay, so I'm going to start off the session now, beginning with a warm-up. We'll just take a couple of minutes, going through a couple of movements, bring that heart rate up, loosen the body out, and just prepare for some of the harder work ahead. So let's begin. Where I will typically begin is my shoulders. Just going to lift the shoulders up and slowly roll back. So just start slowly and we'll build up as we go along. So just rolling the shoulders back, just giving a side view. So we'll lift the shoulders up and then slowly rolling back, creating as much movement as I can with my shoulders. So an area that's typically tight and a little bit stiff, just opening out, changing direction. And now guiding my shoulders forward in circles. Again, creating as much movement as I can in the position here. Okay, just to fold the arms next, just going to open up the feet a little bit. I want to rotate my body to the right and then over to the left. Minimal movement through the hips. Just want to turn through the upper body, just opening up, maybe feeling a little stretch through your back here. Again, just minimal movement with the hips, and lots of movement through the upper body here as you go from one side to the next. And we'll just go once more in each direction and down. Now, just going a little bit more dynamic with the movements. Hands up. I want to take a step to the left and press, and then to the opposite side. So just pressing hands away from chest as you lightly step side to side. So as I warm up, I'm in no way uncomfortable or out of breath. The movement should be quite comfortable in your warm up. It shouldn't be too difficult. But you start to feel yourself warming up, loosening out, and our heart rate just gradually raising up as well. So as we prepare for the main blocks of work ahead. It's just nice and light, pressing out from chest, straight in front. Okay, and then just return down. There, just take it into a light march. Just keeping the body moving, warming up. What I want to do next is connect with the back of the body. So it's going to take a rolling action. I'm just going to pause the movement. Reach out, twist the hands, and pull back. So reach, twist, pull back. And I'm just looking to create any kind of connection with the back of my body here. I think 3 parts. Reach, twist, pull back. And I get a nice connection with the back of my body here as I bring those elbows back. And that's what I like to do with the warm-up, just to switch on, connect, open up all these different parts of the body, chest, shoulders, back, moving down to the legs shortly as well. And once more, and down, okay, just return it to a nice light march. Just going to move into the shoulders again. Next movement. Okay, so just arms by your sides. Just want to take a light step forward and just raise the arms out. Just alternate with the foot and raising the arms out to your sides, just to about shoulder height, no further. Just raising out. Very similar to a movement we'll do in the strength work. So just kind of checking out these positions, movements, how do they feel before we start bearing weight through certain positions. Okay, just to continue that movement, light step forward, but now raising the arms in front. And again, just to about shoulder height, no need to go any further here. Just nice and light with all these actions, nothing too intense as we warm up. Okay, we'll just move down next to our lower limbs with a bit more focus now. Just marching out. First action, just going to take my chair alongside me here. Just going to go for a little light leg extension. You might like to hold on to your chair for support here. Just lightly kick the right leg and then left. It's just nice and light. Kick the legs out in front. Again, maybe that support not needed, but just there if you need. I'm just going to keep the movement nice and light. Just kicking out in front. I'm just going to open out the hip, one side at a time next. So I'm going to go on my right leg, lift the knee, just step to the side, and then back in. Again, I don't want to get overly technical in the warm-up, just lift the knee, step out to the sides. Again, if you feel anyway uncomfortable, just hold on to that chair, just to give you that little bit of support if needed. And just opening out a little bit from the hip is all we think about here. Now to swap sides, so I'll just give myself that little bit of space, lift the left knee and just step out and return. A nice big step out to the side, lifting the knee and then opening the leg. And one more time. And back. Okay, just returning it nice and light with our march. And then just kick the legs out again. And chair here for support if we need. Just nice and light, kicking the legs out. And reset, next action, just as we approach, start to finish up our warm-up. So I'm going to lightly tap my heels into the floor. My toes are pointed up towards the ceiling. And I just alternate, lightly tapping heel into the floor. Just to show from the side angle. And then just going to bring in last and final movement in, which is extending the leg back. lightly tapping your toes into the floor. In any way unbalanced or just a little uncomfortable with that, hold on to your chair just to guide that movement along nicely here. So extending the leg back, lightly tapping your toes into the floor. Okay, and we'll just finish out last couple of times. And rest, okay? So what I'm going to do is kind of like an extension of the warm-up into our aerobic work. So we'll just keep the body moving and active in this phase of work. We did a little bit of boxing last week just to start us off, and I'm going to do the same again this week, particularly maybe as we're getting back into the movement after a break at Christmas. So hopefully this is just something that's fun and enjoyable, but also very active in terms of the movement. So we want to start working a little bit harder with the exercise now. That might show itself in being a little bit breathless, a little bit red, and maybe a light sweat. And just that you're not in any pain with any movement, you're not completely breathless, unable to talk in a sentence, for example. But we are going to step it up now and work a little bit harder. If you wish, you can perform anything seated instead of standing, but I will lead this phase of work in a standing position. So let's stick our timer on. Very simple, a mix of boxing with lower limb action for a block of time in each. Again, I think the best thing is I just get straight in with the movement here. So what I want to do is bring the hands up, feet shoulder width, knees nice and soft. What I want to do is just lightly squat down, not in the full range, up and then box. Mini squat, up and box. From the side position, you'll see the range here is just partial. I don't need to go too far, just a mini squat. As I stand, punch left, right. Again, just make sure keeping a nice straight back, just a light bend of the knees and pushing those hips down and back, just in a partial range of movement. And then bring it into a march. So just let the arms, shoulders rest. What I want to do is start off light enough with the movement. See how that felt as a movement. Is that easy, hard? If it's very easy as you go along, let's start to move with a little bit more intensity and at a more brisk pace. If it feels kind of difficult, a little bit awkward, just continue at a slower pace. And that goes for my march here. If I felt the work is very difficult, I'm slowing the pace down, just catching my breath as I go along, or at a more brisk pace. But I want the challenge, I want exertion, so I'm trying to move at a nice brisk pace. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Let's set up the boxing again. Feet shoulder width, knees soft, hands up and clenched. Mini squat and box. Now, as I get more familiar with the movement pattern, I can move with a little bit more intensity here, providing that feels comfortable. So kind of just getting a feel for that first and providing everything feels okay, and trying to work a nice brisk pace, a pace that I feel comfortable with sustaining. It's giving me a challenge, but I'm not in any pain. I'm not completely breathless, unable to talk. One more time, and into march. So straight in. So there's that little separation between the boxing movement and then just a lower limb action like marching. So we'll do those two in loop one more time. So the boxing with mini squat, and then I'll set up a different variation with the boxing. Again, if I find the work is difficult, I slow the pace down as I demonstrate here. Or if it feels okay, continue at a nice brisk pace, giving yourself that challenge here. Another couple of seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1. Again, set the position, feet shoulder width, knees soft, hands up and clenched. And let's go. Mini squat and press. If you find the mini squat difficult, uncomfortable, just go with the boxing action here. And again, if you're in a seated position, you would just work with the boxing action here. The left, right, punch straight in front. Just keeping that back nice and straight and just working through a partial range of movement. So I don't need to drop too low, just keep it nice and light in a range that's comfortable to you. Again, just keep the movement of the arms nice and light, not too blocky and rigid. Just keep it nice and light as you punch left, right. One more time. And in, okay. Next movement, just want to bring it into bum kicks here. So just lightly curl the legs back. And then we're going to do a little boxing side to side step. And again, the whole point of this block of work, the aerobic block, that challenge, working the heart, working the lungs. You might hear me a little bit out of pant as I talk, and that's what I want, that sign of physical exertion. I'm giving my body a challenge. Okay. Into your next phase. So again, just keep the feet about shoulder width, knees soft, hands up. What I want to do is take a step to the right and box, and then over to the left and box. And I'll just move that chair a little bit. Go out to the right, and then out to the left. A bit more freedom now. Okay, so just keep it very straightforward in terms of the boxing. Just left, right, broken up with a side step. Again, main thing is just keep the movement nice and light. Just make sure you're not kind of turning the shoulders harshly here. Keep it nice and light, nothing too blocky and rigid. Work within ranges that feel comfortable. Don't want to feel any pain with any of the movements. One more time. And then back into those light heel kicks. So just curl the legs back. Again, if this is difficult, slow the pace down, ease off. Or continue at a nice brisk pace if everything feels okay. And again, we like a little bit of challenge here. We want that physical exertion, that challenge, but all in control. So 2 more rounds, boxing, side step. 3, 2, 1, set up. Again, just soften the knees, a little bit of width between the feet, hands up, side to side. Box, side to side. Again, if you're in a seated position, just working through the boxing. And if even standing, you're just not liking the side to side, perfectly okay, just to continue with the boxing pattern without the side step. Again, main thing is just keep the arms light. I don't want to turn this into a technical boxing session. Just want to keep it simple, straightforward. The main purpose here is just movement, working heart, working lungs. And return. One more time. Relax the arms down. Just give the arms, shoulders a little break. And curl those legs back. Those bum kicks. Bringing the heels back, and we'll do that boxing pattern one last time just to finish out our aerobic block of work. So that'll be close to 10 minutes of just movement, working the lungs. Think a lot, as I always say, with aerobic work, like the exertion of a treadmill, a bike. That's where we're moving with a little bit of intent and purpose to give our body a challenge here. So one last time, soften the knees, hands up, side to side. And again, it doesn't matter if it's the first or last round. If you feel breathless and need to take a break, just take a breather. It's my last one here. And then we'll move into our next block of work. Again, just adapt, change anything. If anything doesn't feel good, doesn't feel comfortable, adapt the movement. Again, maybe taking the side step away, seated position if needed. One more time. And down, okay? So what I want to do is just lightly walk it out, take a breather, maybe take a sip of water, and I'm just going to set us up into our strength circuit, our strength block of work. So that's our aerobic block finished. We're going to move into our strength work next. So for this work, we pick 5 movements and we perform 3 rounds of the circuit. For every standing exercise which I lead, I will give a seated adaptation also, so you can pick and choose the level that feels best for you. So, just lightly walk it out, take a sip of water, and then let's begin shortly here. Okay, so we'll start off just over 30 seconds. The movement I want to do first will be a squat or a sit to stand. So what I would say is if you're in the seated position, your exercise adaptation will be leg pulse. Straighten the legs, keep the feet elevated, and just lightly pulse the legs up down, keeping tension through the thigh. For those of us standing, what I want you to do is take 2 weights. You can have the chair behind for a sit to stand, or just there to guide you with your squat. So if you became a little unbalanced or just feel you need it, that's fine. Maybe you don't need it at all. That's entirely optional. What I want to do is take my weight, each hand, feet about shoulder width. My knees are soft. Just going to keep that chest out. I'm going to squat down and then straight back up. So let's begin. Squat down, straight back up. If I need, as I demonstrate here, I can sit fully into that chair just to guide me with the movement. Or if comfortable, we'll just squat. So where I won't fully sit, I might just tip the chair and then straight back up. Key points. Keeping that back nice and straight as you squat down, so I'm not bending. Going to keep those knees just roughly in line with your toes here, and just keeping that chest up as well. Work at a pace that feels comfortable to you, so you're not rushing the movement. Taking air in as I lower. Exhale as I stand nice and tall. Last couple of times. Once more if comfortable. And down, okay? Second movement. Always rest in between, so take your time, take a sip of water. I'm just explaining the next movement. If you have sufficient space, what I want to do is a walk up and down next whilst bearing weight. If space is tight, you will march on the spot instead, and that will be exactly the same for the seated position. Just to march on the spot, bearing your weight. But if comfortable, if you have space, let's walk up, down in 3, 2, 1, and begin, bearing the weight. So if you have that space for a couple of paces up, down, you can take this moving variation with me. If space is a little bit tight, the room you're working in, just march on the spot. Again, I like to move with a little bit of purpose, a little bit of intensity. So there's a little purpose to my stride here as I move up, down, bearing the weight. But again, absolutely fine to just march on the spot if that is better for you. Last couple of times, up, down, or marching on the spot. And continuing to bear that weight. Last time. And down, okay? Little break, little breather. Take a sip of water if you need. We're going to work on the shoulders next with a lateral raise. Standing, seated, instruction will be exactly the same. Just mindful in the chair that you're not hitting anything on the way down. So, bearing your two weights, just make sure in a nice upright position, and let's begin the movement in 3, 2, 1. I raise the weight out to shoulder height, no further, slowly down. As soon as I'm down, straight back up. If you find this difficult in any way or uncomfortable, alternate. So just work through the right and then through the opposite side. But if it feels okay, we continue with the two arms together. In terms of breathing, exhale as you raise out, inhale as you lower the weight down. Again, we'll always just work with the body in this. I'll instruct no further than shoulder height. If you feel you have to stop a little bit below that position, absolutely fine. Work with your body, work with your shoulders here. And if you find it difficult, alternate one at a time. Last couple of times. Straight up as soon as I reach the bottom position. Once more if comfortable. And back down, okay? We'll rest the weight down. Just going to work a single leg hip hinge variation. So just as you rest and take your sip of water, just going to guide you through a seated variation. So if you're working out in the seated position or just find this a difficult movement, what I would recommend here is to sit forward in your chair. Open up the feet nice and wide and just bring arms across chest. From that position, lean forward, squeeze our glutes here, and we'll just come straight back up. Lean forward, squeeze coming in, and I'll just show you that from the side. Key point is that you keep a nice straight back as you lean and pull yourself back in. So at no point will I be bending my back, okay? Standing variation. Just pause the clock there briefly. Okay, so standing position. What I want you to do is line up behind your chair. And what I'm going to do is from the hips, I'm just going to initiate my left leg to move back, which will facilitate the upper body gently leaning forward. So let's begin that action. Left leg pulls back. And then return to the start position. Begin the movement at your hips as opposed to leaning forward. Leaning is just a result of what happens at the hip. Okay? Right leg in this position, I'll look to feel a nice stretch through the back of the leg. With my left leg, I can think of my heel and guiding up towards the ceiling as that left leg goes back. At no point am I bending, always initiating movement through the hips here. Left leg goes back and the upper body will just naturally lean forward as a result. I'm getting a nice stretch through the back of that standing right leg. And I just keep the knee a little bit soft so it's not too harsh of a movement. One more time. And back in, okay? Just shake the legs out and then we'll work through the opposite side. You can do this movement with hands on hips if you feel very comfortable and very balanced with the movement. But generally, when you're just trying to access the hamstring or get the back of the body, I think it's worth beginning just holding the chairs just to guide you with the movement, looking to connect with the back of the leg and not having to worry about the balance side as you get used to it. So hold back of the chair again. Now my right leg will move backwards. I initiate from my hips. I stretch the back of that left leg and I return to the start position. So I think of my right heel is just gradually lifting up towards the ceiling. The leg goes back, the standing leg stretches at the back, and the upper body is just naturally guided forward. No point am I bending, always initiating through my hips. Taking my time, and I have that support of the chair just to guide me along. Remember, if you're not liking this variation, take up your seated position, lean the body forward, squeeze and pull back if you can see it. Last couple of times, stretching out the back of that left leg, connecting with hamstring, not neglecting the back of our body. So we're just going to work it nice and hard with this one. And down. Okay, so that's the first round of circuit finished. Take a breather, pause the clock. I'll always say after the first round as you take a break, just ask yourself, was that hard, was it easy? And based on that, make changes. So of course, if something felt painful, just didn't feel good as a movement, do just change it. Don't persist if it's not feeling good. If everything feels quite difficult, slow the pace down. Maybe do every second repetition and just slow the pace. Or you take your seated adaptation. If it felt a little bit easy, a little bit light, maybe this second round will move with a little bit more power, intensity, or over time, we can look at maybe finding a higher level resistance or heavier weight over time if we have that available to us in the house. Otherwise, let's go back into round number 2. So remember, you can take those leg pulses in the seated position or our squat or sit to stand. So you can have that chair available here if you want and sit every time, or we might just go for the full squat. So feet shoulder width apart, your knees are soft, chest out, holding your 2 weights. Let's begin squatting down in 3, 2, 1 and begin. I squat down, I stand up, and just continuing on, keeping that chest up, keeping my back straight, moving through the hips. If I need, as I'll demonstrate, I can sit fully with the movement, or just continuing to squat if that feels comfortable, if you're in control of the action. With the squat, I'll always just urge that you go at a pace that's comfortable. Naturally, we might start to rush and speed up. Just keep it all under control. Inhale as I lower. Exhale as I stand. From the side position, just to demonstrate the action. Just keeping that back nice and straight as I lower down. So a nice bend in the knees, hips moving down, and forward as I stand. One more time, and up, okay. I'm going to clear the chair. If you have space, we'll walk forward and back, bearing our weight. If space is a little bit tight, a little bit cramped, let's just march on the spot or in your seated position. Okay, another couple of seconds. Take your time, no need to rush anything in here. But if ready, let's grab our weight. And in 3, 2, 1, walking forward and back. Again, I try and move with a little bit of purpose here. I'm not ambling up and down, I'm trying to move with a little bit of intensity as I continue to bear that weight. So just keeping those shoulders switched on as we bear the weight. Excuse me walking kind of into the camera there, but just to I have a bigger space if I walk forward and back as opposed to side to side. Again, space at a premium, just march on the spot. Okay, another couple of times, up, down. Anyway, I'm comfortable, slow the pace down, no pressure at all. Up, down, one more time. And rest, okay? Take a breather. Might want to rest the weights down. We'll move into a shoulder side raise next. Might hear as I talk, that little bit of pant as I talk. Good sign, giving myself a challenge. but I'm not unable to talk in a full sentence. I'm not grasping for air here. I'm not uncomfortable. I'm still in control, but definitely getting a good challenge now. So let's take our 2 weights. Let's just set the position nice and upright. And in 3, 2, 1, raise the weight out. Slowly lower back down. Exhale as you raise. Inhale as you lower. If I can take a little pause in the top position and then slowly back down. As soon as I reach the bottom position, I elevate straight back up. Kind of working with the weight we have. Maybe the weight isn't that difficult because we're kind of limited in our home setting, and that's why we're just going to go through those little points, like a pause at the top, no real pause at the bottom. So we're just going to keep the shoulders switched on. If difficult, alternate, so just drop one arm at a time. If you feel you're losing a little bit of control, that might just bring the control back into the movement. Exhale as I raise. Inhale as I lower. Last couple of times. Once more. And rest down, okay? Rest your weight down. Just going to guide you through seated variation. So if you did not like that hinge movement we worked on, seated variation, sit forward in the chair, a little bit of width with your feet. Just going to bring the arms across chest, and the action will be to lean forward and pull back. And again, very important, I show you just from the side. So you're just getting used to the mechanical movement of your through the hips and keeping the back straight, really important. So you're not bending, and to come back into upright position, squeeze our glutes here, nice and upright. Lean forward, pull back, okay? However, standing variation, which I lead with. Again, if you feel very confident with the movement, you might just work keeping hands on the hips, but I'm going to lead it with chair support. So hands on chair, left leg will move first, initiation from the hips. So my left leg goes back, heel goes up towards ceiling, and I stretch out that right leg, return. And then just continuing on, just getting that nice stretch through the back of my right leg in the hamstring here. I'll keep this knee soft so that it's not too tight and rigid. My upper body is just naturally drawn forward because of the initiation in the hips here and the leg pulling back, as opposed to me just bending, leaning forward. Always think from the hips and the leg going back. Stretching out that right leg, so I'm feeling a little stretch in the back of my leg here as the left leg pushes back. Last couple of times. Once more, if comfortable. And down. And I'll always just movement like that. I might feel a bit of a burn back of the leg or a little kind of tingle. Just shake the legs out. Just a little movement. And then we'll move into the opposite side. I'll always say with these sessions, important that we don't neglect the back of our body. So it's, I think, easier to kind of visualize, connect maybe the likes of the thighs, chest, shoulders, arms, but areas like our back, hamstring, big strong muscles, we don't want to forget about them either. So hold on to the back of the chair. Now my right leg will move back, heel up towards ceiling, stretching out the back of my left leg, and return. The way I always think of this, try not to get too technical. If you can feel a stretch or a connection back of the leg, perfect. And if you're not feeling any pain and you know that you're not bending the back, perfect. So my right leg pulls back, heel up towards ceiling, stretching out that standing left leg. Again, Going to worry less about the position of the upper body and think more about stretch in the back of the leg. Last couple of times here. Again, there's no need to rush with this movement, and that chair will just guide us in terms of keeping us balanced through the position. Once more if comfortable. And down, shaking the legs out. Okay, 2 rounds of circuit finished. I'm going to pause the clock. Again, ask yourself, is that easy? Is it really hard making any changes based off that? Slowing the pace down if this is feeling really tough. If you don't like any movement, absolutely fine. We all have unique injuries. Don't be afraid to change anything. Pick a movement that you know works best. Otherwise, let's continue. Maybe getting a little bit tougher as you go along. And again, that's kind of natural as you go along. It might just get a little bit tougher. So let's go back to the start. Remember your seated variation, just as a little reminder. If you're running out of power, those leg pulses, straight legs, keep the feet up, lightly pulse up down. If you're working out standing, happy with that, take hold of your 2 weights. Just want to separate the feet here. Shoulder width apart, my knees are soft. Chest out, holding on to my 2 weights. We'll begin in a couple of seconds here, squatting down, standing up, or fully sitting to the chair. 3, 2, 1, and begin. Squat down, straight back up. Again, if I want, that chair is here, so if I feel I need to kind of sit down, I feel maybe I'm bending the back, just take that tap to the chair just to guide you along with the movement. I'm thinking of the legs really active, so along the thighs, really connected here. Keeping that chest up, so just that I'm not bending the back at all. My knees, just going to stay roughly in line with the toes here. Hips are just moving down, back towards that chair, and then coming forward as I stand. Breathing out as I stand up. Breathing in as I lower. Again, just keep the movement controlled. The squat can get quite tiring. Get out of breath quite quickly. Just keep it under control. No need to rush. Last time if comfortable. And rest. Okay, so as you take a breather, into the walking next. Again, I've been doing this just as a walk, up, down, as I have space. Again, if your space is tight, just want you to march on the spot. And again, the same in a seated position. Another couple of seconds, so I'll just count us in. Holding my 2 weights and walking or marching in 3, 2, 1, and begin. Again, moving with a little purpose, providing that feels comfortable. If you feel it's getting a little bit tough at this stage, slow it down. Okay, about halfway. And let's go up, down one more time. And rest, okay? Shoulders next. If you need to just rest those weights there, might feel the shoulders getting a little bit tired, having just been bearing the weight in the squat and then into the walk. And again, you hear that little pant as I talk, a good sign, giving myself a challenge, but I'm not out of control either. Still in control, but definitely feeling a good challenge at this point. So let's take the weight again. Nice upright position. So just with the shoulder, just make sure that we're not hunched over. Nice and upright. Shoulders back a little bit here. Initiate, raise to the sides, and then slowly lower back down. Exhale as I raise. Inhale as I lower. Find it difficult, don't be afraid. Just alternate, one arm at a time. Or continue with the two if everything feels okay. Again, some of the points I raise, like pausing at the top, no real break at bottom. They might get tougher on this third round, and that's okay. Don't need to be quite so strict if it's getting tougher. Just if you find a weight's a little bit light, a little bit easy, that's why I'll give you those little instructions of pausing at the top and no real break at the bottom, just to kind of maximize what we can get from the weight. Exhale on the way up. Inhale as I return. Last couple of times, might get 2 to finish. And once more. And down. Rest the weight down. Hinge. Again, this is one, because I know people might find this one a little bit different. So that's why I wanted to give you the demonstration of seated every time. If seated, sit forward, bit of width with your feet. Arms across chest. I want you to lean forward, keeping a straight back. Squeeze and return. Lean forward. So leaning forward and as far as the hips comfortably allow. Pull back. Keeping the position nice and straight. So you're just getting the mechanics of that hip hinge. Standing. Okay, so the setup. You just want to hold on to the back of the chair here. I'm just going to stretch out the back of this right leg and I'm going to push the left leg backwards. I'm going to start from the hips with the movements. So let's begin. Sorry to set that clock. Let's go. Left leg goes back so my heel is up towards the ceiling and then return back down. So just think from the hips every time. I'll keep that right leg, the knees soft, so I'm not too rigid, I'm not too tight in the position. It's going to just feel a little bit better probably if we keep that knee soft. On the left leg, I think of that heel, just up towards ceiling, and that upper body is just naturally drawn forward in response to the movement from the hips. Left leg goes back, stretching out that right leg, feeling a little burn on the back of that right leg. And down, and I might just shake the legs out, just kind of come out of the position. And then we'll do the same for the opposite side. Okay, so let's set up again. Holding the back of my chair. Now I will move the right leg back. So I'm going to stretch out my left leg, the back of that left leg. Let's begin. So again, I just initiate movement from the hips. My right leg goes back. And I stretch out that left leg. And return. My back is always staying straight, so I'm never bending. And I'm just thinking always start position. Just imagine this area glowing or highlighted, my hips. Keeping the knees soft. Getting a nice stretch connection with the back of that left leg. Okay, last couple of times through the movement here. I'm going to get plenty of repetitions in, so just taking my time, no need to hurry. One more if comfortable. and down. Okay, and rest. So 3 rounds of circuit finished. Take a little break. So just kind of run through everything we did. We worked our squats, so the legs really active. Our hinge, again, we worked the back of the leg, so the hamstring, movement through the hip, very important. We worked our shoulders with that lateral raise. What else did we have? We had the march up down, so like an aerobic movement again, but also just the weight bearing, so keeping the shoulders engaged. So a lot covered there from a strength side and built off our previous aerobic block. So what I'll do is just one kind of final extra mobility movement here. This is something just I like to do after your kind of intense blocks of work. Just something different. Sometimes balance, sometimes mobility, maybe a stretch. But today we're just going to do a nice shoulder stretch after all the work we did, and then a couple of our main stretches. So this is just about movement in the shoulders. You can do this standing or seated if you feel really tired. Take up a seated position, sit forward in the chair that you have a bit of space to work with. What I'll do is place the knuckles of my hands onto my lower back. Okay, so you'll see the knuckles of my hands on my lower back. Separately, just keep the elbows pinned back, so not relaxed or hunched into position. Keep the shoulders switched on, keep the elbows back. From this position, so this is internal rotation, just a shoulder movement. I want to open the arms out to the side, open the hands out, twist, and then bring the hands to the back of the head. So now the palms of my hands on the back of my head. Open out to the side, twist the hands, and then return to the lower back. So the knuckles back on the lower back. All the time, keeping my elbows pinned back. If you find you can't quite access either position, so if you can't quite get back to a point, if you need to stop here, that's fine. But if you can, bring the knuckles to the lower back and even just up a little bit. Open out to the side, and again, if I can't reach, if I couldn't go any further, I would just stop in that position. But if you can, continue towards back of the head. And from the side next, just want to show you how I keep the shoulders switched on. I'm not relaxed or hunched at any point. My elbows are back, and I just keep the shoulders switched on. So just think mobility through the shoulders. And for some people, this might be a little bit tight, a little bit stiff, and I don't want you to force. So if you have to stop here any further, it would just cause pain. Don't force the position. And you just think those 2 points on the lower back, my knuckles on the lower back. Then I twist the hands, so palms of the hands behind head. And then just relax. Okay, take a couple of seconds. We'll try that one more time. Just in between, roll the shoulders back. And with a movement like that, you might find it's a little bit hard to do, a little bit tight, a little bit stiff. But maybe with practice and maybe after the movement, it feels quite nice around the shoulders, like you've accessed a little bit of movement and space. So let's just try maybe 5 more times, just giving you a chance to explore the movement here. So again, knuckles on my lower back, elbows back a little bit, open the arms out, bringing the palms of the hands up to the back of my head. Open the arms out, twist the hands, lower down. If you can't quite achieve either position, work with your body, don't force these positions. So I just want you to work with your shoulders here as I go up and down twice more. And again, take your time with the movement, even a little bit slower here. Open the arms out, twist the hands, and back down. Once more. Open the arms out, twisting hands, bringing hands to the back of my head. Opening the arms, turn the hands onto lower back. And rest down. Okay. So that was just your little extra movement for today. No pressure with that extra movement to say. It's just something different after your kind of harder blocks of work with the circuits. Couple of stretches now, just to relax the body down and just ensure we feel relaxed after all the harder work. So a couple of stretches. let's work the hamstring here first. I'm going to hold on to the back of my chair. So I want to straighten my right leg out on the heel and just gently tilt forward, maybe feeling a little stretch through the back of the leg. And swap, left leg out, heel down, toes up, gently lean forward. And again, that chair is here to support me. Reset. Right leg, just gently lean and tilt. Left side. Working through the right again. Heel down, toes up, stretching out back of that leg, and maybe just holding a little bit longer this third time. Just building up the length of the stretch each time. Not pushing it too harshly. Don't force the body too far to a point where it feels unbearable. Just slight discomfort maybe in the position, but not any actual pain. Reset. Left leg, heel down, toes up, gently lean, feeling a nice stretch through the back of the leg. Again, don't be afraid, as I always say, just let me know in the comments, find the work too easy, too hard. If you need further explanation or adaptations, anything like that, don't be afraid to let me know. Hopefully there's a challenge in the sessions, and if there's anything you like or don't like, don't be afraid to let me know. But hopefully feeling good after the workout. And back, okay? Just shake the legs out. So what I'll do next is, just whilst holding the back of the chair, just want to bring my right foot back. If comfortable, grab the foot and just lightly pull the leg back. If it's uncomfortable here, without the grab, just lightly pull that leg back. Left foot, again, leg back. If comfortable, grab the foot, gently pull the leg back. So you're stretching out the thigh, the front of the leg here. And down. Reset, right leg back. Just going to grab hold of that foot, gently pull back. And again, if the grab of the foot here is just making you unbalanced, uncomfortable, just continue without the actual foothold here. And again, I'm just lengthening the time of the stretch this second time, just gradually building up the length that I hold the position for. And down. Once more on the left, just going to grab my foot and gently pull the leg back, stretching out the front, the thigh of the leg here. Just holding that position. Another couple of seconds, so we just build up the length. So you can find certain stretches maybe feel a little bit tight, a little bit sore. What I would do is just gradually build up the length of time you hold it for. So rather than starting too extreme, just slowly build up the length that you hold the position for. And down. Okay. From there, just take a couple of light heel taps. Just gently stretch the leg out in front. And we'll just finish off with a couple of upper body movements, just to finish off, relaxing the body down. Okay, so just go with the shoulders, just slowly roll back, just a really nice, light, comfortable movement. Rolling shoulders back. Change direction, just guide those shoulders slowly forward in circles. Okay, just a nice upper body movement next. Bring the hands up. I want you to stretch the arms out in front as far as comfortable. And then pull back. So again, press forward, straighten the arms, and I feel a nice stretch in the upper body, in my back here. And then I pull back, bring the elbows in, and now I might feel the shoulder blades squeeze together. And just press forward and hold. Pull back. And twice more, press forward and hold. Pull back. And one more time. And down. Okay. Final stretch today. Just Just going to take rotation, just folding the arms. Again, keep the movement minimal here, so there's not much movement through the hips. Just want to move through the upper body. Turning over to the right, head is with the movement. Just pause for a couple of seconds, and then I'll guide myself to the left. Pausing for a couple of seconds again. Just return over to the right. And then over to the left. We'll just work through each position one more time, just lengthening the time. Nice stretch through the back, just holding the position another couple of seconds here. And then over to the left once more. Again, let's just hold another couple of seconds. And rest now. Okay, so that concludes our workout today. Again, this is a collaboration brought to you Siel, Bleu Ireland and the Irish Cancer Society. Any questions, any issues, don't be afraid to let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. I'll be back next Wednesday at the same time and hopefully enjoy the workout. So I'll see you again soon.